Hello and welcome to the RWU Weekly Rail and Labor News Update. Each week, RWU brings you the news of what is happening in rail labor and in the rail industry in both North America and around the world. We monitor several different sources of news and try to highlight the most important stories of the week, focusing on issues of concern to railroad workers and our allies in the labor movement and the larger community. The update is published weekly on our website, railroadworkersunited.org, and you can sign up to have it delivered straight to your email. We're fortunate to have Greg record an audio version as well. He is a Solidarity member of RWU, a voice actor, and a member of SAG-AFTRA. We hope you find each week's news and information useful. If so, please share it with your coworkers, friends, and colleagues. If you have a story we should highlight, please forward the article and a link to raillabornews@gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy.
This is the RWU Weekly News Digest, number 28, for release July 8, 2025. This week's summary of rail labor and transportation news from Railroad Workers United. Please go to the website at www.railroadworkersunited.org for more complete coverage. Lawmakers have reintroduced the Railroad Yardmaster Protection Act. U.S. Reps Salud Carvajal and Mike Lawler reintroduced the bill to strengthen workplace protections for yardmasters to afford them the same kind of protections as other workers in the yard. Legislation first introduced in 2019 includes railroad yardmasters under federal hours of service requirements and would also cover locomotive engineers, conductors, switchmen, dispatchers, and signal employees. Smart TD has endorsed the legislation by explaining that the yardmasters would not be required to be on duty for more than 12 hours, and additionally, they must receive at least 10 hours off duty afterwards. Smart TD commented on the legislation and said that they applauded the congressman's efforts for their leadership to introduce this act, and also said, quote, "For far too long, our yardmaster members have been left without the basic protections afforded to other safety-sensitive rail employees," unquote. The MTA has ignored an NTSB report and wrongfully blaming and firing a flagger. Andy Valentine, wrongfully terminated, and RWU and other supporters are asking folks to go to the GoFundMe site and to provide relief on this situation. Back on January 4th, over a year ago, 2024, a subway crash at 96th Street left dozens injured in New York City. The MTA went to the typical blame the employee error scenario to explain out the situation. The NTSB proved otherwise. They said that Andy Valentine, under the conditions of the incident, saw the red signal, radioed his supervisor. The communication failed at that point with the supervisor and stayed behind to ensure passengers' safety. The MTA faulty communication caused the transmission to fail. NTSB clearly showed that the crash was due to a system failure and not employee error. Train operator Andy Valentine, scapegoated under typical management scenarios presented to blame employees rather than systemic problems in their workplace, terminated this employee who refused under an arbitrator's ruling to heed the NTSB report. And folks are asking for help to get Andy back to work. So please click on the link to the story here in our webpage email delivery or at the website and provide some relief for this beleaguered employee. The NTSB has also released a report on Union Pacific's conductor fatality in a July 2024 fatality at the Proviso Yard under the Union Pacific system, and have ruled that an inexperienced conductor's failure to alert the engineer to stop the train at a designated point during a shove move in what was unfamiliar territory. The conductor was certified 12 days before a July 6, 2024 accident and had never led a shove move at that yard, and he was killed when the tank car he was riding collided with a departing train. The NTSB said that Union Pacific sent the conductor, quote, into the field without performance-based verification that he could safely navigate the territory, unquote. How about this one? Amtrak's long-awaited Gulf Coast service begins August 18th. Progressive Railroading reporting that Amtrak trains will be operating along the coast between Mobile, Alabama and New Orleans for the first time in 20 years. Amtrak is accepting bookings for the Mardi Gras, its new twice-daily intercity train service, and have said in a press release that they encourage customers to, quote, get their tickets now to experience this new comfortable and scenic service and have the first opportunity to travel by train on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in nearly 20 years. And Amtrak resuming this service after 20 years of a hiatus due to Hurricane Katrina at the time. The Class 1 carriers, of course, have stonewalled at every step, attempting to thwart resumption of passenger train service. At one point, CSX asked for more than $1 billion in infrastructure improvement to make it happen. If it takes 20 years to reinstate just 150 miles of passenger train territory, you can't help wonder how long it might take to regain a robust passenger train network across the whole country. These Class 1's privately held carrier lines are stonewalling us, that's the passenger network, and the railroad supporters like us at every turn. What's the answer? Well, there are a few, but it points most dramatically to public ownership of these lines. And also a story out of Florida. The feds have sided with the union in a legal dispute against Brightline. The Federal Railroad Administration is warning Brightline, Florida, that in order to continue to receive federal transit dollars, the high-speed rail company will need to ensure compliance with federal grant requirements, and that includes acknowledging that they are, in fact, a rail carrier eligible for rail-specific federal grants. This private for-profit company, Brightline, operating several rail routes from as far south as Miami up to Orlando, Florida, have been accused by the Transport Workers Union of union busting, and in part by trying to pretend it doesn't actually qualify as a rail carrier. Meanwhile, mixed progress at CPKC and the IT cutover recovery. Railroad recoveries, according to a report from Railway Age at the end of last month, are almost always uneven. CSX's recent cutover recovery was an exception to that rule. But they're seeing that with a mixed bag of data this week, according to the CPKC's efforts, trying to rebound from operational disruptions from a May 3rd cutover from the old management control system to the TYES system replacement within the U.S. On balance, progress is being made, but they're not out of the woods. A full system terminal dwell in Canada, U.S., and Mexico with a peak of 11.4 hours in the week ending June 6, followed by an improvement to 11.1 hours through June 13th, for example. Then there was a backup last week to 11.2, an uptick of, a back step, I should say, of 11.2, an uptick of just 0.1 hours or 6 minutes. That's insignificant, but it maintains dwell above CPKC's historically poor benchmark of 11 hours. Well, that's our report this week. More updates at the website at www.railroadworkersunited.org. I'm Greg Giorgio, a Solidarity member of Railroad Workers United, urging you to please be safe out there and stay strong.